Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. By advice of our city attorney, this meeting now technically is a city council meeting. And it's open to the public, and we have never had a council meeting where we didn't open with prayer and invocation. We've already done that, but I'd like to do it again. If I could ask Rick Dival to come forward. Rick's a board member. Don and the Patriarch of San Clemente, would you please give us an opening invocation to this public meeting?
It would be my honor, Mr. Mayor. Please pray with me. Father God, we just, first of all, thank you for placing us in the most beautiful city in California. And thank you, Ole Hansen, for dubbing us your Spanish village by the sea. I'd like to pray for protection for all our first responders, our police department, fire department, lifeguards, and of course, all our servicemen, that you might bring them back safely and keep them safe in your arms. And we praise you for all our blessings, and we lift all of this up through your son's most precious name. Amen.
Yeah, thank you. And Sergeant Major, can I ask you to lead us again in a pledge of allegiance to our flag?
Put your hands over your heart. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Now, when I looked at the menu, and it said closing remarks, Steve Noblock. So am I here? Closing remarks? Are we done? Can we be done now? I am proud to serve as the mayor of San Clemente, the chairman of our city council, and I'm delighted to work with our executive team and the management team in San Clemente and the talented and informed and bright people that advise us on our committees and commissions. You know, as Rick said, San Clemente is blessed. We're blessed with the best weather in the nation, the best climate in the nation, tucked back in the hills next to Camp Pendleton, Rancho Mission Viejo, up on the hillside, affording our people with tremendous ocean views. It's a wonderful place to live. And for nearly 100 years, this city has grown from a small 2,000 beach enclave in 1928 to the 18 square miles we have now, with 66,000 people, boasting of 324 acres of open space, 45 parks, pickleball courts, tennis courts, skate parks, pump track, which we just initiated last week. Rick, thank you for covering that. 4 golf courses, 18 miles of hiking trails, 20,000 city-maintained trees, 2 aquatic centers, and one of only 3 in the entire county that's Olympic-sized. And I got to tell you, the French are already lusting for our Olympic swimming pool, with the Olympics coming in 2028. You know, we are operating on budget and with adequate reserves. And if I had to have 2 words to describe the city of San Clemente, the state of San Clemente, I would say superlative and healthy. The government functions that we provide aren't just the normal things: water, sewers, city streets, infrastructure. What we do is a team effort. And we don't operate in a silo. We really rely on all of our citizens to be involved. And some examples of this. Recently, there was a gentleman who came to our town who was from out of town, a gentleman named Ali Youssef. He came to our beaches, and he was got in literally and figuratively over his head. He didn't understand the dangers of the deep in our town, and he was dramatically saved by an extraordinary efforts of our lifeguards, Ian Burton and Hayden Paul, assisted by a skilled paramedic team led by Captain Bradshaw of Station 60. They were assisted by a large group of about 8 surfers and beachgoers that helped rescue this man and saved his life. He's delighted his life was saved. And to show his appreciation, he's come back and get involved in the lifeguard organization. He's now on the board of the Junior Lifeguard Association. The scene, though, is not isolated. Community is important. Earlier this year, a sheriff's deputy was stabbed in the neck by a homeless person, and thank God has recovered well. But that sent this city on a 3-day massive manhunt to find this person, with helicopters, canine searches, hundreds of people on the ground. And it was one of our local citizens, John Kiger, who was aware of what was going on, recognized this person when he saw him, contacted 911 and promptly had this fellow arrested. He's currently in jail, serving, not Kiger, the bad guy, for attempted murder and related crimes. Community is important. As another example, during the recent Los Angeles brush fires, we had a lot of people concerned about San Clemente because 80% of our town is in a high fire risk zone. And they were looking at the conflagration in Los Angeles saying that could happen to us. We've got open space all around us, hundreds of acres of hills and with lots of debris. So people were saying, we were getting a lot of calls. Why don't you come over here and fix our canyon? Why don't you come over here and fix that? So I was talking with our city manager, and I said, we need to do something locally. People are concerned about this. It's a big issue. It's a dangerous issue. And let's identify some land and maybe we could just clear some brush. So Andy, our city manager, Andy Hall, identified a 15-acre tract of land on the south side of east side of San Clemente, at the back side of Pico, right where there's a high-density housing, the apartments and the condos there in Talega. And we identified a weekend and we said, let's just see if people will come out and help clear some brush. And the minute we made that call, we started getting calls from our local businesses, Denault Lumber, Lowe's Hardware, and others started donating chainsaws, rakes, gloves, bags, all sorts of fire debris removing equipment, and very, very generous. And on that morning, we had 160 volunteers come out and clear brush. Mark, you were there. Rick, you were there. Zen, I believe you were there. And it was pretty impressive. And when the 2 hours was up and about 8 acres of brush had been cleaned, instead of being 8 foot high, there was nothing, just beautiful, beautiful ground, clear and bare. And when the people were leaving, they were sweaty, they were dirty, but there were smiles on their faces, joy for their community. And they said, when are we going to do this again? This is important. This is necessary. So I said, Andy, when are we going to do this again? Andy identified another area, the Ridgeline Trail, that had super high brush, and we needed better access from the fire department. So on the following Saturday, we had another very, very large group of citizen volunteers that came down and helped knock down the brush so that this, instead of a bike trail, was now 10 feet wide so that the fire engines could easily access this area. Community is important. Another example I'd like to share is a fellow who for 6 months attended our city council meetings. His name was Mike Kay, and he was talking about goats. He was saying, to reduce the fire risk, we need to put some goats in some of these canyons. They eat the brush, they're voracious eaters, they'll eat tin cans if there's nothing else to eat, they'll eat anything. And we need to do this. And you know what? He got a lot of ribbing. For about 6 months, people were kind of a little bit joking about him, a little bit of a friendly mocking, like, what's the goat guy? What's he doing? And then the LA fires kicked in. They said, this guy maybe has got something that is important. So he asked for a pilot program in San Clemente, and for city manager identified a 10-acre parcel next to Hermosa Park on the hillside, right above some residential housing. Mike set up at his own expense, coyote-proof cages for the goats, low voltage electric fences, and for 3 months he worked that area, and the brush that was as high as a camel's nose after 3 months was down to nothing. Beautiful results. And with the 28 goats, he had a donkey, a protection donkey called Steve. And some of the folks said this is Mayor Steve, and but that's okay with me. I've been called worse by folks on the left and even some folks on the right. But in any event, Mayor Steve did a great job. This was a pilot program. The HOAs are now very excited about goats. They're talking about we need to incorporate this into our fire prevention system. While we're talking about Mike Kay, let me mention his brother, Rick Kay, who also lives here in town. Rick is also a local entrepreneur, business owner. Rick owns GCI contracting company. He got the bid to haul 37,000 cubic yards of sand from the Santa Ana River to North Beach to replenish our beach sand. Now, he not only gave us a great price on the bid as a local contractor, but when his fleet of trucks came to North Beach, we discovered a problem. We discovered that the beach, the bridge that covered the water channel that went from the residential area onto North Beach sand proper, we found that beach, that trail was not, the bridge was not sufficient to hold the weight of these massive trucks with the sand. So when you have a contract like that with the city, what do? You say, I'm not responsible for your bridge. I'm not paying for that bridge. You fix the bridge and I'll deliver the sand that you contracted for me to deliver. Rick didn't do that. Rick, on his own nickel and his own dime, got the steel rebar, the lumber, secured that bridge, and delivered the sand. Not only that, the grunion were running, and he used his equipment to kind of shore up the sand so that the grunion wouldn't be impacted. You know, that's love of community and selflessness that really exemplifies San Clemente. The fact that he didn't ask for a change order to cover his costs reminds me of a meme I saw years ago of this giant yacht pulling a little dinghy out of the harbor. And the name of the name of the dinghy was Contract. The name of the yacht was Change Order. And but that wasn't Rick Kay, no change orders. So I got to say, we've got some great people in this town, and I want to say hats off to the brothers Kay. They've done a great job. Yeah, there's a lot of other folks that have benefited our community. Many leaders that have done outstanding work. I think of Stephanie Dory, who over 20 years ago began the effort to create our San Clemente Ocean Beach Trail. She sadly was, as a city council member, had to resign because of the cancer that ultimately took her life. And I was delighted to have been elected to serve her remaining 3 years of her term at that time. Also, other people in town, like Wayne Eggleston, who 30 years ago saved the Casa Romantica from being a taco bar to the classic cultural icon that we enjoy in our town today. And 20 years ago, Wayne was involved in creating Park Semper Fi for the Marine Corps with the Heritage Foundation, which has been a blessing and an honor to our war fighters that live south of us that we're so proud of. People like that. And also former city council member Scott Beal, who 40 years ago initiated the annual Mayor's Prayer Breakfast, which is still going on. It was difficult, very difficult to recount so many things that our folks have done in San Clemente to help us. Organizations like the Pier Pride, Friends of San Clemente, Casa Romanica, the Lifeguard Association, the Kiwanis Club, Rotary Club, Save Our Beaches, the Chamber of Commerce, which is hosting this event every year, Park Semper Fi, the Family Assistance Ministry, and others. Phenomenal work. And, just like one entity can bless many, our God blesses many through his generosity, his kindness to us as well. And our success in San Clemente is not just in dollars, cents, and man hours. Our success is in the spirit and character of a people and a community. Earlier this year, the city of San Clemente faced strong opposition when a local church group wanted to continue to share the good news of Jesus Christ with folks on the beach. That spirit in a community, what's important is the spirit that's in a community and those that's in it, and we allow that to continue. The importance of a community isn't just in the value of the assessed value of our buildings, but in the character and spirit of our people. And it's only with the assistance of the Almighty that any of us are able to do anything of what we actually do. Now, to transition from the one who can count the grains of sand on the beach, we're going to transition to the dwindling amount of grains of sand that are on our beach. Our sand efforts to replace the sand on our beach is moving forward. As you know, this last year we had a contract with the Army Corps of Engineers to place 250,000 cubic yards of sand, which turned out to be 210,000 cubic yards of sand, for $15 million. Turned out to be $20 million. And then the North Beach project that I mentioned that Mike Kay was involved in, Rick Kay, for 27 additional thousand cubic yards of sand for our scoop permit. Sand is expensive, it's vitally important, but we need to get sand here quicker and cheaper. That's why we recognize that it's important to identify sand that's close to our shores. The sand that the Army Corps of Engineers delivered was from San Diego County, Solana Beach, started Oceanside, went down to Solana Beach, and they were busy. They ended up at Seal Beach, Surfside Seal Beach, where they shipped the sand in. Very expensive, very time consuming. And we recognize that it's important to get sand close, and the California Coastal Commission also recognizes this is important. That's why they gave us a grant for $800,000 to search for sand close to shore. We contracted with Coastal Frontiers with this grant to find sand close to the city of San Clemente. They did a presentation to our city council at our last meeting, and they had some interesting observations. They said, we've identified these sites. We start close into San Clemente at the pier, and then we kind of move outward. And they said, based on the historical information we have a fairly low probability of finding sand close in. And so the thought was suggested, maybe we ought to abandon our effort to find sand close in and move farther out. Well, we know there's sand farther out. We know there's sand in Oceanside and Solana Beach. We know there's sand at San Mateo Beach Outlet, but we're going to take the sand from a classic world surfing venue. We don't want to do that. Nor do we want to get sand where Camp Pendleton is currently and always actively involved in marine operations there for the training of their troops. So we're at a quandrum. We want to make sure we actually find sand. But if you don't look under the rock, you may not find it. It may be there if you just look. There's an old saying, if you do what you've always done, you get what you've always got. We've never looked, but people have analyzed and they've said, we think there's a low probability. Well, any probability that actually works will deliver a huge volume of sand at a really inexpensive cost and benefit our community immensely. And the logic is, well, the information we have is 40 plus years old, and we can't rely, there's no sand there because of, we deal with geologic time in the ocean and underwater. And so, well, that's nice. Geologic time is important, but 40 years ago we had a beach, and now we don't have a beach. So that sand is somewhere. It might be where you're looking. So let's keep the effort going. The city council will soon, probably at our next meeting, be discussing whether we continue that effort. And the good news is that the Orange County Transportation Authority has gotten an emergency permit from the California Coastal Commission to find sand because they're now obligated to put 240,000 cubic yards of sand at Mariposa Point, where the bridge was just removed. So they've got an obligation to do that. The problem is that there's no sand available. Santa Ana River doesn't have sand. Prado Dam doesn't have sand. We can't find the sand. Well, we discovered that in British Columbia, there's a company called Vulcan Materials that's taking sand from British Columbia and shipping it down to Long Beach. That sand could easily come into San Clemente. The problem is they don't have a way to seal it to ship it. They have 75,000 ton open deck cargo ship where they transport huge amounts of sand. They have automatic scoopers, conveyor belts, but they can't pump it ashore. So that was a problem. And the only people that had that equipment is the Mason company, that did our Army Corps of Engineer project, but they're on the East Coast and they're at least a year out. They're not able to get the job done. So we talked to our friends in San Diego and the Beaumont Freeman, what's the name? I'm going to get the name right. The Nielsen Beaumont Group, dealing with the Pacific Marine Group in San Diego, said, well, slurry sealing is not a problem. We have ships that just do that exclusively. So if that Vulcan ship can anchor with self-stabilizers or anchor, we could tie a slurry type ship, anchor it right next to it, and pump the sand onto the beach. We could do that. So as recently as yesterday afternoon, they were trying to locate the availability of those ships. So even though we have a short time frame, 120 days for the permit, a month has already passed. We got 90 days. We've got no sand except possibility of the Vulcan sand. We might indeed be able to get some sand. Now, there's some issues. When we got the sand from Seal Beach, it was kind of yellow. Remember, if you looked at the beach, we got the blonde beach sand from San Clemente. Then the Seal Beach sand was kind of yellowish, a little bit pinkish, a little yellowish. Well, the Vulcan sand is a little bit darker. It's beautiful beach quality sand, but it's a little bit darker in hue. And I think we've got the light, the yellow, the brown sand. I think the DEI people in the last public administration might have said this is a good thing to get these different colored sands on our beach, but it's a possibility. Andy's quarterbacking the effort with the Orange County Transportation Authority, and hopefully we can have some solutions for additional sand on our beach.
Let me just say also that financing for sand is incredibly expensive, but it's doable. I want to encourage our partners at the county, the state, and the federal level to step up and do more. Andy, Victor Cabral, and I were at a meeting last year in Newport Beach at the Smart Beach Summit, and there was an interesting statistic that was given at that meeting. What they said was they did a study of the cost of recreation nationwide. They said they found that 80% of the money spent on inland national parks, 80% of all the money budgeted for parks and recreation was spent on inland county parks, where only 20% of the people went. 20% of the money spent on ocean beach recreation attributes to 80%. Excuse me, 80% of the people visit the coast, 20% of the cost. Inland, vice versa. 20% of the people go there, but 80% of the cost there. So I want to encourage our state, federal legislators to step up and make sure that money that's spent is where the people actually recreate, and that's on our beaches. Now, the coastal bluff issue is another problem that we've been facing. Coastal instability is not a new problem in San Clemente. In fact, if you go to City Hall and look at this 1928 San Clemente City official flag, you'll see an ocean view of the pier and the bluffs of San Clemente, and you'll count no less than 6 landslides in that flag that have been visually depicted. So slides have been happening here a long time. The Mariposa Bridge that was taken out by a landslide, as I mentioned, the California, the Orange County Transportation Authority is fixing that. And they estimated it would take a week to take that bridge down. They took it down in a day. The riprap is being put in. The bridge has been replaced. The retaining wall's coming in. And the trail will be open hopefully in the next, I don't want to say how many months, Andy, but soon, fairly soon compared to the time that it's been closed. That's vitally important to our community and very important to all of us. And hopefully that kind of energy and getting the job done will help them expedite the possibility of sand coming from the Canadian shoreline. Also, with the coastal erosion, it's nice to report that the Casa Romantica slide is just about completed. The repair work is just about done. As soon as the earth is back in place, and that should happen very soon, and the landscaping is completed, then we'll be able to finish the patio and the amphitheater structure there. Our insurance agency, the JPIA, has said, look, we're going to finish this. You don't have to pay a dime. We're going to do it. But if you want to do it, we'll give you $1.7 million. So what would you like? Some people have said, well, let's take the money and maybe we won't make the expansions big. I think that should go back to be built the way it was originally designed, the way it was originally intended. And the city council will be deciding very soon whether we take the money or whether we rebuild. That decision will be coming very quick. Now, a lot of what happens in San Clemente, there's a lot of credit to go around, but I got to tell you, the credit that's deserved in this town is really our city manager. Andy Hall has overhauled spending. He's overhauled spending to reduce the cost and increase efficiencies. He believes that less people actually working smarter can do more. He's implemented a legal department and staff protocols that have reduced our legal expenditures by half in the last 2 years. He has a philosophy, as does our city council, of being a city of yes, and he demonstrates that every day. So he's developing a leadership team in this town that will be working to solve our problems and will be active long after many of us have gone off and sailed off into the sunset or are sipping banana daiquiris on the veranda. He's got a team in place that'll be with us for a long time to come, and we appreciate that. Another really important project that's coming up that the city council will be looking at very soon is the Doheny Desalination Facility. The South Coast Water District was successful in getting Coastal Commission and other regulatory agency approvals to build a large ocean water desalination plant. It's able to produce 5 million gallons a day, and they can expand up to 15 million gallons a day. This is vitally important to us because San Clemente is kind of at the end of the pipeline. We're the last part of the straw when it comes from the water coming from the Colorado River from the Oroville Dam in Northern California. We're the end of the straw. And if we had a catastrophic event, this city could be in deep doo-doo, and we don't want to be in that position. And we have a lot of reserves, we have a lot of reservoirs, we have sources that we can rely on. But when that catastrophic event actually happens, we're going to look at each other 20 years from now. Our kids will look at each other 30 years from now and say, why didn't we participate in that desalination plant? It's vitally important, but there's a cost involved. It's not cheap. Financial analysis has suggested that it's going to cost the average ratepayer $2 to $5 a month. And we don't want to overtax or overfee our already overtaxed citizens, but it's an issue that we need to weigh the pros and cons and the balances. And I'm hoping that we go forward with that project. I think it's one that generations from now, our children, our grandchildren will be delighted that we worked on. So that's coming up very, very soon. Mark, you gotta roll.
I'm so sorry to interrupt.
That's all right. Good to see you. Mark, I promised Mark I would not say he's going to his teaching gig because I didn't want to get a bunch of letters to the editor saying I've been disrespectful to the educators. Mark, thank you. Appreciate you. Okay. Ocean desalination, very important. Another issue that we've been talking about, we'll be coming back to the city council soon, is cameras on the beach looking at the ocean. Recently, we've had problems with pangas coming up on our shore. In the last 6 months, the 26 panga landings that have occurred in Los Angeles and Orange County, 15 of them have been in San Clemente. And we're talking about drug smuggling, human trafficking, illegal parking on the beach. You're not allowed to drive your boat up on the beach. And I was thinking, you know what? We currently monitor the beach for the surf report, for the weather report. Let's just turn those cameras this way with a little technology, a little thermal imaging. Our citizens get to watch the camera all the time. Just let people see what's going on, and hopefully there'll be some interdiction potentially. That issue was discussed. The cost became an issue, and the council's analyzing whether or not the Border Patrol people will pay the cost of these cameras. We're looking at the technology and the cost right now, and that should be coming back to the city council in very short order for a decision. Another thing that's very exciting in San Clemente is the Olympics are coming to San Clemente. The people in San Diego don't like that, but it's a San Clemente Trestles Beach. It's very exciting. We're going to have the surf competition here with 48 surfers, 24 men, 24 women surfing. That's 24 men, not men that think they're women. We'll be surfing, and the Olympics creates a lot of opportunities and a lot of challenges for public safety, for transportation, housing, and other logistics. Andy our city manager has recommended we get a sort of a task force in place now to coordinate with the other cities, with the Olympics people, with the state, federal agencies to make sure we have adequate security, housing, and so forth. So at our next city council meeting, we'll be discussing whether or not, how, I should say, to create an Olympic committee to get the job done. So in wrapping up, let me say there's a lot of things happening in San Clemente. We have a number of projects coming online, the hand railing at the pier, the improvement of T Street, a miniature golf course being designed with on public land, but with private funding is coming, which should be open soon. Completion of the Vista Hermosa soccer field, the Meadows is going to be completed. And our goal is to keep San Clemente crime-free and pothole-free. And as Ole Hansen once said in one of his comments, our city founder, Ole said, there are many people who will appreciate what I'm doing and who will help to make the village beautiful. So my closing comments to this group, I want to just say, let us all be one of those people. Thank you, and God bless San Clemente. Well, I guess this is the official city council meeting. I apologize. We have to take public comments if there are any. It's our policy. Are there any public comments? Oh my goodness. We've got a, oh my gosh. Oh.
Just in case you didn't cover everything, but you covered everything great.
Thank you, Rick. Okay. Seeing there are no public comments, let me conduct some official business. This meeting is now adjourned to the next regular city council meeting, which will take place on May 6th, 2025. Closed session begin at 4:30, regular session at 5:30. The meeting will take place at the council chambers located at 510 Kelly Negocio, second floor, San Clemente. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you all. Tyler, thank you.